Captain Daniel Hayes stared out of the viewport, his heart pounding as the Zellurian capital loomed closer. Towering structures of silver and gold shimmered under the pale light of the three suns, and flying vessels glided gracefully between them, leaving trails of faint blue light. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting intelligent alien life, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this moment. The beauty, the scale, and the discipline of this civilization left him in awe. The ship's AI chimed softly, announcing their approach to the landing platform. Daniel exhaled slowly and adjusted the folds of his uniform. "Remember, Daniel," he muttered to himself, "we represent all of Earth. One mistake, one misstep, and it could all be over." As the landing struts touched the platform, Zellurian attendants approached. They were taller than humans, with slender but powerful builds, their skin glimmering faintly in a pattern that shifted like liquid metal. Their eyes, large and almond-shaped, held an intelligence that seemed almost too sharp. A mixture of reverence and caution ran through them as they gestured for the humans to follow. They were led into the heart of the capital, a vast ceremonial hall with floors that reflected the light as if they were liquid crystal. The walls were etched with intricate symbols, showing the history of the Zellurian people. Daniel's mind struggled to absorb everything at once: the elegance, the power, the sense of order. This was not a place of mere politics. It was a stage for an ancient civilization that demanded respect. At the far end of the hall, a throne floated slightly above the floor, and on it sat the alien queen. She was breathtaking. Her posture was perfect, regal, and commanding. Her skin shimmered like polished silver, her hair flowing like liquid starlight. Her eyes, deep and knowing, locked onto Daniel the moment he stepped forward. There was an immediate weight to her gaze, a silent claim that seemed to stretch across the hall. "You are Captain Daniel Hayes," the Queen said, her voice resonating without effort. It was not loud, but every word carried authority. "Human envoy, you stand before me to represent your people." She paused, her eyes scanning his face. "And yet, according to our sacred law, you are bound to me and my descendants." Daniel froze. He had expected scrutiny, maybe even hostility, but this was not a simple negotiation or a greeting. The words felt like chains being placed around him. Bound to her and her descendants? He opened his mouth, but no sound came. "Your people must understand that our law is ancient and absolute," she continued. "It is not a matter of choice, but a matter of responsibility. Those bound to our line carry obligations that extend beyond the self. You will learn and you will fulfill them if you wish to remain on our world." The attendants shifted nervously, and Daniel felt their tension. He finally found his voice. "Your Majesty, I do not understand. Humanity does not have anything like this law. We do not bind individuals to rulers or bloodlines." The Queen's expression softened slightly, almost imperceptibly. "That is because your species is young, Captain. Your history is short, your experience limited. But you are intelligent. You will learn. And perhaps you will teach us in return." A murmur rose from the assembled Zellurian citizens who had gathered in the hall. Daniel sensed curiosity, perhaps even judgment. He had to find a way to navigate this delicate situation without offending centuries of tradition. "I wish to understand your law," he said carefully. "I come in peace to learn and to share knowledge, not to defy your customs." The Queen's eyes studied him for a long moment. "Peace is not enough. Understanding is required. You will begin your journey in our society not as a guest, but as one bound by responsibility. Learn well, and your actions will determine how our people view your kind." Daniel nodded, even though a knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. He had expected diplomacy to be challenging, but this was beyond any scenario he had trained for. Yet he noticed something in the Queen's gaze. It was not cruelty or desire for domination. There was an expectation of courage, intelligence, and respect. He realized that the sacred law, strange as it seemed, might not be a trap. It might be an opportunity, if he could rise to the challenge. They led him through winding corridors of polished stone and crystal, past halls where Zellurian scholars worked on complex devices that hummed with energy. Daniel watched them with fascination. Their technology was far beyond anything humanity had achieved. Ships that manipulated gravity, devices that could bend light, energy grids that ran entire cities with efficiency humans had only dreamed of. Finally, they arrived at a chamber high above the city. Daniel looked out at the sprawling capital below, the architecture blending seamlessly with the natural formations of the planet. He felt a mixture of awe and unease. This was a world that demanded respect, and he was expected not just to survive but to thrive under rules he barely understood. The Queen approached him, her presence overwhelming. "Captain Hayes, you are not alone in this. Our people will guide you, teach you, and observe you. You will learn to live under the sacred law. Fail, and the consequences will be yours. Succeed, and you may find allies where you least expect them." Daniel swallowed hard. The path ahead was unclear, filled with uncertainty and challenge. Yet beneath the fear, a spark of determination ignited. Humanity had always risen to challenges, no matter how impossible they seemed. He would not fail, not when the future of human-Zellurian relations depended on his courage and wisdom. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He sat by the chamber window, staring at the moons reflecting off the city's towers. The words of the Queen echoed in his mind. Bound to her and her descendants. He considered the implications, the responsibilities, and the opportunities. He realized that this was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a test, not just of skill, but of character. In the early hours of the morning, a Zellurian attendant approached him with a small device that contained information about the sacred law. Daniel studied it carefully, noting the principles: mutual respect, protection of knowledge, the continuity of bloodlines, and the safeguarding of culture. The law was strict, but it was rooted in responsibility and honor, not oppression. As he read, Daniel felt a growing respect for the Zellurian way. It was alien, yes, but it was founded on intelligence and purpose. He realized that if humans were to earn a place among these beings, it would require more than diplomacy. It would require courage, integrity, and ingenuity, the very qualities that had always defined humanity. By the time the first sun rose over the capital, Daniel had made a decision. He would learn the law, he would honor the Queen and her people, and he would show that humanity was not merely a species of survival, but a species of potential, capable of rising to any challenge. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with trials that he could not yet imagine, but Captain Daniel Hayes felt something he had not expected: hope. And perhaps in the heart of an alien civilization, he would find not just allies, but a deeper understanding of what it meant to be human. As he prepared for the first meeting with the Zellurian Council, Daniel knew one thing with certainty: he would face the sacred law not as a victim, but as a representative of humanity's greatest strengths: courage, intelligence, and unyielding determination. The doors opened, and the first step of a historic alliance began. Humanity's place in the cosmos was uncertain, but one thing was clear: they had arrived. Captain Daniel Hayes followed the attendants through the winding corridors of the palace. Every step reminded him of the vastness and sophistication of Zellurian society. The walls were adorned with flowing symbols and luminescent patterns that seemed to move slightly when observed from different angles. He realized that even their art reflected a level of intelligence and precision humanity had not yet achieved. They arrived at a large chamber where the Zellurian Council gathered. The council consisted of 12 beings, each radiating authority and wisdom. Their eyes, like the Queen's, were deep and calculating. Daniel felt a twinge of nervousness but straightened his posture. He reminded himself that he represented humanity, a species known for courage and adaptability. He had to show that humans could be more than strangers. They could be allies. The Queen's voice echoed softly through the hall. "Council members, this is Captain Daniel Hayes. He comes from a young species. He is bound to our line by sacred law. Observe him carefully, for the future of our relations rests in his conduct." A ripple of murmurs passed among the council members. Some were skeptical, others curious. Daniel understood that to gain their trust he would need more than politeness. He would need to demonstrate humanity's unique strengths. One council member, a tall figure with eyes that shimmered like molten gold, spoke first. "Captain Hayes, our sacred law is simple yet binding. Those who are bound to our line must understand the importance of responsibility, wisdom, and respect. You are now part of our society, not merely a visitor. Tell us, what qualities of your people should we trust?" Daniel paused, collecting his thoughts. "Our people value courage, innovation, and cooperation. We have survived against impossible odds, adapted to harsh environments, and worked together to achieve remarkable things. Humanity is young, but we are determined and capable. If given the chance, we will contribute meaningfully to your society." The council members exchanged glances, and Daniel sensed the subtle shift in the room. They were assessing not just his words, but his demeanor, his honesty, and his confidence. He took a deep breath and continued, "I may not fully understand your law yet, but I am willing to learn. I respect your traditions, and I hope to build trust through actions, not just words." The tall council member nodded slowly. "Actions speak louder than words, Captain. Tomorrow you will observe our practices and participate in tasks that demonstrate your understanding. Your first challenge will be to assist with the energy grids that sustain our city. Many humans would find this impossible. Can you?" Daniel's heart skipped a beat. The energy grids were the lifeblood of the city, a network far more complex than anything on Earth. A single mistake could cripple entire districts. Yet he felt a surge of determination. "I will do my best," he said firmly. "If there is a way for me to contribute, I will find it." The council's attention shifted to the Queen. She gave a small nod, acknowledging his resolve. Daniel realized that this was more than a test of skill. It was a test of character. The Zellurians valued courage, intelligence, and integrity. If he could show those qualities, humans might earn their place. The next day, Daniel was taken to the city's energy hub. Massive conduits of glowing energy ran through the complex, humming with power. Zellurian engineers worked with precision, manipulating devices that levitated and shifted as if by magic. Daniel studied their movements carefully, noting the principles behind their designs. He had always been good at problem solving, and he relied on that skill now. When a minor malfunction caused a surge in one of the main conduits, panic could have spread quickly. Daniel saw the risk and acted instinctively. He analyzed the energy flow and suggested a temporary reroute using auxiliary systems. The lead engineer hesitated but then followed his guidance. The surge was controlled and the city continued to operate without interruption. A murmur of approval ran through the engineers. Daniel felt a quiet satisfaction. He had contributed in a meaningful way, showing that humans could adapt and solve complex problems even in an alien environment. The Queen observed from a balcony above, her expression inscrutable but approving. That evening, Daniel returned to the palace. The Queen approached him, her presence commanding yet not threatening. "You have shown quick thinking, Captain. Your people's ingenuity is evident, but intelligence alone is not enough. You must understand our ways, learn our customs, and respect our law fully." Daniel nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I want to learn, and I want to help build a lasting relationship between our peoples." She regarded him silently for a moment. "You are aware that the sacred law is not merely symbolic. It binds you to responsibilities that extend beyond yourself. You will find that the more you understand, the more you are expected to contribute. Are you prepared for that?" "I am," Daniel said without hesitation. He felt a mix of pride and humility. The responsibility was immense, but he also saw the opportunity to demonstrate humanity's potential. Over the following days, Daniel was immersed in Zellurian culture. He studied their history, their technology, and their social structures. He observed rituals that honored their ancestors and practices that maintained harmony in their society. Each day brought new challenges, from negotiating disputes among citizens to understanding complex energy systems that powered entire districts. He also began to form relationships with individual Zellurians. Some were skeptical, testing his patience and resolve. Others were curious, asking about life on Earth, human customs, and the challenges his species had overcome. Daniel answered honestly, sharing humanity's triumphs and struggles. In return, he learned about the Zellurian values of discipline, knowledge, and collective responsibility. One day, a young Zellurian engineer approached him privately. "Captain Hayes, you have impressed many with your intelligence, but some still doubt your place here. How do you endure the weight of the sacred law?" Daniel thought for a moment. "I focus on what humans have always done. We face challenges we cannot predict. We adapt, we learn, and we support one another. That is how we survive and thrive. I do not see the law as a burden, but as a chance to show what we are capable of." The engineer smiled slightly, a rare expression among Zellurians. "Perhaps your people are not as different from us as we thought." As the days passed, Daniel's reputation grew. The citizens began to see him as more than a foreign visitor. He was a problem solver, a mediator, and someone who respected their culture. The Queen observed these developments, and though her expression remained calm, Daniel sensed a quiet approval. He realized that gaining respect in this society required patience, humility, and consistent demonstration of human virtues. One evening, the queen summoned him to the balcony overlooking the capital. The city glowed under the light of 2 moons, its towers reflecting and refracting the soft luminescence. Daniel stood silently, absorbing the beauty and the responsibility that lay before him. "You have learned much in a short time, Captain," the queen said. "But understanding the sacred law is only the beginning. You will face trials that test not just your intelligence but your character and resolve. Are you ready for what comes next?" Daniel straightened. "I am ready, Your Majesty. I will continue to learn, to serve, and to show that humanity deserves respect." The queen's eyes softened, a fleeting sign of recognition. "Then you will continue. Remember, Captain Hayes, the sacred law is not punishment. It is a path to mutual understanding, respect, and unity. Follow it with courage and wisdom, and you may discover the strength of your people and your own." As he left the balcony, Daniel felt a growing sense of purpose. The sacred law, strange and alien as it was, had given him a chance to demonstrate humanity's potential. He realized that this was more than a mission. It was a journey of discovery, not just of another civilization, but of what it truly meant to be human in a vast and complex universe. For the first time since arriving on Zaluria, Daniel felt a sense of belonging. Not as a subject, not as a visitor, but as a representative of humanity's courage, intelligence, and spirit. The path ahead would be difficult, filled with tests and challenges he could not yet imagine, but he was determined to face them. The city hummed below him, alive with energy and purpose, and somewhere among its towers and shining streets, Captain Daniel Hayes knew that humanity had taken its first true steps toward becoming part of the galaxy's story. Captain Daniel Hayes woke early that morning, the soft light of Zaluria's twin suns spilling across his quarters. The palace had become both familiar and overwhelming. Every corridor, every chamber, every ritual reminded him of the weight of the sacred law. He had spent weeks learning, observing, and proving himself, yet he knew that greater challenges were coming. The queen's summons arrived unexpectedly. Daniel entered her private chamber, where she stood near a window overlooking the city. Her gaze was as sharp as ever, but there was a hint of concern. "Captain Hayes, a challenge has arisen within our society," she said. "There are those among our people who doubt the wisdom of binding you to our line. They seek to exploit your presence for personal gain. You must navigate this carefully." Daniel felt a surge of tension. Internal conflict was more dangerous than any unknown alien threat. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. "Observe, learn, and act wisely. Show them that humans bring value beyond novelty. Your intelligence, courage, and judgment will be tested." He nodded, determined. This was more than a test of skill. It was a test of character, of humanity's ability to earn trust and respect in a foreign society. The next day, Daniel attended a council session that had been convened under unusual circumstances. Rival factions of Zalurian officials argued over policy, trade, and human involvement. Some argued that humans were too unpredictable, that binding a foreigner to their law was risky. Others supported the queen, emphasizing the potential benefits of cooperation and shared knowledge. Daniel listened carefully, analyzing the debate. He noticed that the skeptics relied on fear and tradition, while supporters focused on strategy and long-term gain. When the discussion turned to a critical energy project, Daniel realized the stakes were higher than he imagined. A miscalculation could disrupt the city's power network, and political tensions made hesitation even more dangerous. One of the rival council members, a stern Zalurian with steel-gray eyes, turned to Daniel. "Captain Hayes, you claim to understand our law and culture, yet you are new to our world. What proof do you offer that your presence strengthens our society, rather than destabilizes it?" Daniel's mind raced. He had to respond with clarity, intelligence, and diplomacy. "I understand that my presence is unusual, and I do not take it lightly. My actions have demonstrated that humans can adapt, solve complex problems, and contribute meaningfully. I do not seek to replace your ways, but to complement them. Humanity's strength lies in innovation, cooperation, and courage, qualities that I believe can support your people during challenges, not worsen them." The chamber fell silent. For a moment, Daniel feared that his words would be dismissed. Then the queen spoke, her voice calm but resonant. Observe, council members. Captain Hayes embodies the values we honor: intelligence, bravery, and respect. Let us see if he can act in accordance with these principles. That afternoon, an emergency arose. A fault in one of the outer energy grids caused a surge that threatened multiple districts. Panic could have spread quickly, but Daniel acted immediately. He assessed the system, identified the flaw, and proposed a reroute using auxiliary conduits. The engineers hesitated, but Daniel's plan was precise and methodical. Following his instructions, they stabilized the grid before any major damage occurred. The council watched from above as the crisis unfolded. Even the most skeptical members could not deny the effectiveness of his solution. The city continued to function uninterrupted, and the citizens went about their routines unaware of the near catastrophe. Afterward, the rival council member confronted Daniel privately. "Your solution was effective," he admitted grudgingly. "I still question your presence, but I cannot deny your intelligence and composure. Perhaps humans are more capable than I imagined." Daniel nodded respectfully. "I do not seek approval through words alone. I hope that my actions continue to demonstrate humanity's potential and reliability." That evening, Daniel returned to the palace, exhausted but resolute. The queen awaited him in a quiet garden illuminated by bioluminescent flora. "You have faced the first test from within," she said. "Many doubted your value, but your actions proved them wrong. Remember, Captain Hayes, strength is not only measured by intelligence, but by integrity, courage, and the willingness to act when needed." Daniel absorbed her words. The sacred law was no longer just a set of rules. It was a guide to behavior, a measure of worth. He realized that earning trust was a continuous effort, one that required thought, skill, and heart. Over the following days, Daniel's integration into Zellurian society deepened. He participated in governance discussions, shared human engineering principles, and collaborated with Zellurian scholars on projects ranging from energy optimization to urban planning. Each contribution built respect among the citizens and officials alike, yet he also faced cultural challenges. Zellurian customs were strict, and missteps, even small ones, could carry significant consequences. Daniel learned patience, humility, and observation, understanding that true diplomacy required more than intelligence. It required empathy and awareness of the unseen rules guiding behavior. One day, a young Zellurian apprentice approached him with a question. "Captain Hayes, your people are praised for their courage. How do you continue to act bravely when every decision could bring failure?" Daniel considered the question. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite fear. Humans have faced countless challenges, from natural disasters to conflicts among ourselves. We survive and thrive because we learn, adapt, and support one another. That is what bravery truly is, acting with purpose and integrity, even when the outcome is uncertain. The apprentice nodded, inspired. "Perhaps your presence is teaching us more than you realize." Meanwhile, subtle signs of unrest still lingered among the more conservative council members. Daniel knew that one misstep could be exploited. To strengthen his position, he focused on collaboration, transparency, and consistent results. He shared ideas openly, credited Zellurian partners, and sought advice when needed. This approach slowly shifted perceptions. Humans were no longer a curiosity or a potential liability. They were valued allies. Weeks passed, and Daniel's reputation grew beyond the council and palace. Citizens began to approach him with questions, seeking guidance or understanding of human ingenuity. He discovered that even in a foreign world, humanity's qualities, ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, resonated universally. The queen observed these developments quietly. One evening, she called Daniel to the throne chamber. "Captain Hayes, you have endured scrutiny, solved crises, and shown integrity. You have demonstrated that humans possess strength and wisdom, not just novelty. You honor the sacred law through action, and your presence strengthens our society." Daniel bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I could not have achieved this without guidance and patience. I hope to continue earning the trust of your people every day." She stepped closer, her expression unreadable but serious. "There will be further challenges. External threats, political tensions, and societal changes will test both of us. But you have proven that humanity can rise to meet these tests. That is why the sacred law binds us, not to limit you, but to ensure that those who serve are worthy, capable, and responsible." Daniel realized the weight of her words. The sacred law was not a chain but a framework, guiding both humans and Zilurians toward mutual respect and progress. He understood that to succeed he would need to continue showing courage, intelligence, and integrity in every action. That night, he reflected on his journey so far. From the moment he arrived on Ziluria, he had faced uncertainty, skepticism, and danger. Yet each challenge had been an opportunity to demonstrate humanity's potential. He had learned that respect is earned, trust is fragile, and courage is tested in moments of crisis. He also understood that the Queen's Law was not merely a duty, it was a chance to unite two species. Humans could contribute, innovate, and learn alongside the Zilurians. In return, they would gain wisdom, insight, and a place in a vast and advanced society. As the moons rose over the capital, Daniel felt a quiet pride. Humanity had proven its value not through dominance but through intelligence, adaptability, and heart. The path ahead remained uncertain, but he was ready to face it. The sacred law was no longer a burden. It was a challenge he embraced fully. Captain Daniel Hayes knew that the future depended not only on survival, but on courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. With every action, he would show that humanity was not merely a young species. It was a species capable of rising to greatness, earning respect in a galaxy full of wonder and complexity. And somewhere in the luminous towers of the Zilurian capital, he felt that the bond formed under the sacred law was growing stronger, not as a chain of obligation, but as a bridge of understanding, cooperation, and mutual respect. Captain Daniel Hayes awoke to the pale light of Ziluria's three suns. Today was not just another day of learning or proving himself. It was the day the Queen had announced a council gathering that could define humanity's role in their society for years to come. The events that unfolded now would determine whether humans were allies, contributors, and partners, or simply curiosities in a foreign civilization. He walked through the palace corridors with a steady, measured pace. Though the grandeur and beauty of the palace had become familiar, the weight of responsibility never lessened. Every step reminded him that the sacred law was not simply a rule, it was a covenant, binding him to the Queen, her descendants, and to the broader Zilurian society. The council chamber was filled with tension as he entered. The rival faction, though subdued by recent events, still harbored doubt. Citizens and officials alike waited, sensing that today could bring change. Daniel took a deep breath, recalling the lessons he had learned. Intelligence must be paired with courage, humility, and integrity. The Queen's voice rang out, clear and commanding. Council members, citizens of Ziluria, today we decide the path forward for our alliance with humanity. Captain Daniel Hayes has demonstrated courage, intelligence, and respect. He has acted in accordance with our sacred law and has contributed to the prosperity and safety of our city. It is time to formalize the bond between our peoples. A murmur ran through the chamber. The skeptics exchanged uneasy glances. Daniel stepped forward, standing tall. Your Majesty, council members, citizens, he began, his voice steady. Humanity comes not to impose, but to collaborate. We bring innovation, adaptability, and cooperation. Our species has survived and thrived against impossible odds. And we offer that experience to you, not to challenge your traditions, but to strengthen them. The lead skeptic, the gray-eyed council member, leaned forward. Captain Hayes, words are easy. Actions carry weight. Can you demonstrate one last time that humans can be trusted allies? Daniel nodded. I can and I will. The Queen motioned toward the city's outer sectors where a complex network of research stations and energy hubs required synchronization. A new challenge had arisen. A neighboring district had begun experiencing instability due to environmental fluctuations that threatened the energy flow. Daniel had observed similar problems in previous days and had ideas on how to stabilize the systems efficiently. At the outer district, he coordinated with Zilurian engineers. Using a combination of human problem-solving methods and Zilurian technology, he implemented a solution that balanced energy flow while minimizing risk. The engineers followed his lead carefully, and within hours, stability was restored. The citizens, who had gathered to witness the demonstration, reacted with awe. For the first time, humans were not just participants, they were indispensable partners. The skeptics could no longer deny the value Daniel had brought. Back at the council chamber, the Queen addressed the assembly. Captain Hayes has shown through action what we have observed in principle. Humans can adapt, contribute, and honor our sacred law. Their presence strengthens our society, and their wisdom and courage complement our own. A moment of silence followed. Then, one by one, council members spoke in favor of formalizing the alliance. They acknowledged humanity's contribution, intelligence, and integrity. Even the rival faction, impressed by Daniel's continuous problem-solving and respect for Zellurian culture, agreed that the alliance would benefit all. Daniel felt a surge of relief and pride. Humanity had not only survived the scrutiny of an advanced alien society, but had earned a place among them. The sacred law, once intimidating and foreign, had become a bridge connecting two species, two cultures, and two civilizations. The Queen approached him privately after the session. Her gaze was softer than he had ever seen. "Captain Hayes, you have honored our law and shown that humans are capable of greatness. The bond is no longer a test. It is a partnership. Your descendants and mine will carry this understanding forward, ensuring cooperation and unity." Daniel bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored to serve as a bridge between our peoples, and I will continue to work to strengthen the alliance." Over the following weeks, formal ceremonies were held to celebrate the new era of human-Zellurian cooperation. Humans were given positions as advisors, collaborators, and engineers. Daniel worked alongside Zellurians to implement joint projects, improving city infrastructure, energy systems, and research initiatives. Every day brought new challenges, and with each challenge, humanity's reputation grew. Citizens began to approach Daniel and other humans with questions, eager to learn about Earth and human ingenuity. They were curious not out of condescension, but genuine interest. Humans shared knowledge of engineering, medicine, and exploration techniques. In return, they learned advanced Zellurian sciences, governance methods, and cultural practices. Daniel often reflected on how different this was from any mission on Earth. Here, intelligence, courage, and collaboration were rewarded with trust and respect, not competition or fear. Humanity was not only surviving, but thriving in an alien society. One afternoon, he visited a training ground where Zellurian youth practiced discipline and problem-solving exercises. A young Zellurian approached him shyly. "Captain Hayes, how do humans find courage when facing the unknown?" Daniel smiled gently. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite fear. Humans have faced countless challenges, yet we survive because we support each other, learn from mistakes, and keep moving forward. Courage grows when it is paired with responsibility and the desire to protect others." The young Zellurian's eyes widened with admiration. Then perhaps our peoples are not so different after all. Daniel realized that this was the true value of the sacred law. It created connections, fostered mutual respect, and encouraged growth. By binding him to the Queen and her descendants, the Zellurians had ensured that the relationship would endure, not through fear or obligation, but through shared purpose and cooperation. The final days of his first year on Zelluria were filled with reflection and planning. Daniel worked closely with the Queen to establish educational exchanges, shared research initiatives, and joint security protocols. Humanity and Zellurians were no longer separate. They were allies working toward a shared future. On the eve of the year's end, the Queen summoned Daniel to the balcony overlooking the capital. The city glowed under the light of its three suns, towers reflecting and refracting the soft illumination. Citizens moved about, unaware of the historic transformation taking place. "You have proven yourself, Captain Hayes," the Queen said softly. "Through action, courage, and integrity, you have shown that humans honor the sacred law and deserve their place in our society. The bond is no longer a test, it is a partnership, one that will guide our peoples for generations." Daniel gazed out at the city, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. Humanity had come a long way from its small, fragile home world. Here on an alien planet with laws and customs vastly different from Earth's, humans had earned respect through character, intelligence, and courage. "I will continue to honor the law and our partnership," Daniel said. "Humanity will contribute everything it can, not out of obligation, but out of respect and friendship." The Queen regarded him with quiet approval. "Then together we will face the future. Your people's courage and ingenuity, paired with our wisdom and experience, will ensure that our civilizations thrive." Let this partnership be a beacon of what is possible when species work together, bound not by fear, but by understanding and mutual respect. Daniel felt hope welling in his chest. The sacred law, once a source of uncertainty, had become a guide to unity and cooperation. Humanity had proven its worth not through dominance but through intelligence, courage, and heart. As the sun set and the city shimmered in the evening light, Daniel knew that this was only the beginning. The alliance between humans and Zellurians would face challenges, but he was confident that together, they could overcome any obstacle. He had witnessed firsthand that when humans acted with integrity, intelligence, and courage, even the most ancient and powerful civilizations recognized their potential. And so, under the light of Zelluria's skies, a new era began. Captain Daniel Hayes had not only survived the sacred law, he had honored it, strengthened it, and shown that humanity had earned a permanent place among the stars. The future stretched out before them, bright and full of promise. With courage, cooperation, and understanding, humans and Zellurians would shape it together. Daniel looked to the horizon, ready to continue this journey, knowing that humanity's story had just begun to intertwine with that of an ancient and extraordinary civilization.